This is Bangarang Radio, a podcast network. For more shows, visit bangarangradio.com.
I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bangarang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. You're listening to Pop Punk and Pizza on Bangarang Radio.
All right, welcome to Pop Punk and Pizza here on bangarangradio.com. I am Jacques, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot, as always. And this is episode 8. Been doing this for 8 weeks already. It's hard to believe. And so far, doing this brand new show versus the old show I was doing, it's been going so well so far. And I have, obviously, you to thank for that. I've been hearing from complete strangers about this podcast and saying, hey, I like your podcast. Or I've been hearing from bands that I've never heard of, and they're like, hey, check out our stuff. We're a pop punk band from so-and-so. And we'd love to be on your show and just things like that. So I love that. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me on all the Pop Punk and Pizza social media links. Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Twitter is Pop Punk and Pizza Pod, or my personal account, On Air with JJ. I know, sounds stupid, but that's my Twitter handle. And then, of course, you got Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast on Instagram, or if you want to shoot me an email, bangarangradio@gmail.com. And I actually had a couple reach us out to us on Facebook. You can find Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast on Facebook as well. I got a couple messages. So I'd love to hear from you, whether you love the show or hate the show. If you hate the show, by all means, tell me. I would love to hear your feedback. But anyway, our last show was with Johnny Christmas, the wonderful, super talented, super nice guy, Johnny Christmas, the trumpet player of Real Big Fish. And that went over so well. He was such a, like I said, he's such a nice guy. So please, if you can, support Real Big Fish. And they did announce, that's actually in our Pop Punk and News segment today, which we're about to go into. So as if you've read the title of this podcast, we're mainly going to be talking about Yellowcard's final show in Chicago, because they're currently on their last world tour, and after that, they're going to be done. They're breaking up. But before we talk about Yellowcard's show in Chicago, we will be getting into pop punk news.
News team, assemble!
It's this week's Pop, Punk, and Pizza News.
All right, so this week in Pop Punk and Pizza News, I just kind of summarized some of the things, some of the bigger stories that have been happening in the pop punk genre. And of course, since Green Day is currently on tour and promoting their latest release, Revolution Radio, there's always tons and tons of things to talk about Green Day. I'll just give you a couple of things that I can tell you about them. First of all, they just premiered the music video for Still Breathing at the MTV European Music Awards. It's a very emotional music video. I checked it out. I dug it. Also, Mike Dirnt and Billy Joe of Green Day have a coffee company, and now this story came out a couple weeks ago. It's called Oakland Coffee. I have yet to try it, but it sounds pretty good. But the big news about that is that it's now being sold through Costco and Amazon. Now, it might not be at a Costco store near you and I, unless you're in the California area, or the state of California, mainly the Oakland, California area. You can go get it at Costco there. But you and I, wherever we're at in the United States or probably in the world, we can go to Costco.com or we can go to Amazon.com and buy their coffee. So I thought that was pretty cool. That comes from GreenDayAuthority.com. Thanks for that story. Also, another story to come from GreenDay.com was, I saw it on GreenDayAuthority.com, but it actually comes from Vulture. So Vulture got together with Billy Joe, and he responds to the yearly Wake Me Up When September Ends joke by associating himself to the end of September, as people would with the Easter Bunny or Jesus to their respective holidays. So here's the audio clip from that video. This is what he said.
September comes, that people go, hey, it's that guy in Green Day.
Wake me up wake me up, wake.
It's like when Jesus was born on December 25th, people go, hey, it's Christmas time. When the Easter Bunny comes, it's like, hey, it's Easter. Or when September comes, that people go, hey, it's that guy in Green Day.
Do you have anything to say to those people who post it every year? I see the same people posting it every year.
I don't know, have fun, get a life at the same time.
He's gonna write a new song, October beginning. So that's gonna start a whole new thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's called "Shut the Fuck Up When October Comes."
He's the wordsmith. Yeah. He's the lyricist, right?
So I had a good laugh there with Billy Joe as well. I'll be honest, I've partaken in that yearly thing of, oh, it's September, Billy Joe Armstrong is sleeping, and then when September's over with, then it's like, oh, somebody wake up Billy Joe, September is over, that kind of thing. I'm guilty, I know. It's a silly, corny, stupid joke, but it's just one of those things. It's hard not to poke fun at, I suppose. Although sometimes I do feel bad because the song is about the death of his father, so that kind of makes you feel sad knowing that. Anyway, on to the next story. Mest has decided they're going to play some awesome shows in Chicago this coming December, which is already next month. I can't believe we're in November already. So Friday, December 16th and Saturday, December 17th, back-to-back shows at Reggie's on the south side of Chicago. Or, well, I guess that's the Loop. I guess it depends on... I'm not a true Chicagoan, so I know I just screwed that up. But anyway, now these aren't just, hey, we're playing shows, that's it. These are special shows. The Friday, December 16th, they are playing Destination Unknown in its entirety. And then the next show, December 17th, they are playing the Mest self-titled record in its entirety. And yes, you're probably asking, now is this going to be the original Mest lineup? Because as you know, when Mest did return originally, Tony Lovato had a bunch of different members playing along with him, but yes, this is going to be the original Mest lineup playing these two shows back to back. Now, if you're listening to this before Friday, November 11th, that's when tickets are going to go on sale at 10 a.m. Central Time, and this also comes from their Facebook. They say, it would appear there is going to be a VIP pub crawl involved, but more details on that next week. I still haven't seen anything yet. But anyway, this is exciting. My friend Sarah was asking me if I was going to go to the shows, and I think I probably will, because I haven't seen Mest in a while. My old band, or the band I was in for many years, that's no longer active, The Projection, we actually got the opportunity to open for Mest when they played a show. I think it's been 2 years already, which is hard to believe. We played it with them at Mojo's in Joliet before they shut down. Also, Blink-182, they announced a UK tour this last week. Now, tickets also go on sale for that this Friday, November 11th. And as I was talking about earlier, we're talking about Real Big Fish. During our interview with Johnny Christmas last week, the trumpet player from Real Big Fish, he did say that they were going to be going on a U.S. tour with Anti-Flag. And it wasn't actually... It was a couple days after Johnny and I had recorded that interview that they announced it on their Facebook. But they're going to play. Real Big Fish is going to play Turn the Radio Off in full, just like they're doing on this current tour that I saw them on up in Palatine at Dirty Nelly's. And then Anti-Flag is actually doing a kind of an anniversary celebration as well. They're going to play Die for Your Government in full, I'm pretty sure. Because on the tour poster, it's got the album cover of the Anti-Flag Die for Your Government album. It's got that artwork. So the tour starts January 4th, and it's going to run through February 16th. So it's a pretty long tour. The Chicago date, if you're in the Chicagoland area like I am, is going to be on Monday, January 9th, and tickets are actually on sale for that now. They're playing House of Blues, which I like because it's convenient to get to, in my opinion. For me, I just hop on the train and go downtown and walk from the train station. Super easy. And last but not least, a new song from MXPX dropped, which I was surprised by. I was not expecting that. The cool thing is, you can download it from their website for free as long as you sign up for their mailing list. And why wouldn't you want to sign up for MXPX's mailing list? You can keep up to date on all their tour dates, merch, and new music, obviously. But anyway, if you sign up for that, you can download the new single called They. And I figured, you know what? Why don't we spin it right now? Because I honestly haven't listened to this thing in full. So let's listen to it right now on Pop Punk and Pizza. This is the latest single from MXPX. It's called They. And yes, it is politically charged, which I am very much in love with.
I promise you I'm going to be brave. How can these be the best two we can find? Are we still blind and falling through the dark? And how did we get down here in this purgatory prison with no hope of a road? No hope of a road. No hope of a road. No hope of a road. I promise you they're lying through their tape. These politicians feed off their constituencies, but they've got deaf ears, and we have blank faces. They hate to see that we're not buying in, and they hate what they can control. What they can control. They hate what they can control. What they can control.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed. The bitterness of men clear the way for human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people.
What they can control. Oh, oh. What they can control. Oh, oh. What they can control. They hate what they can control. They hate what they can control. They hate what they can control. What they can control.
That's MXPX with They here on Pop Punk and Pizza on BangarangRadio.com. They just dropped that single, I believe just this past week, from their Facebook post. They say, for those that haven't seen the new track, because there is a lyric video for it on YouTube, we'll be issuing more songs, they say, discounts, updates via our newsletter. If you'd like to sign up, head over to mxpx.com for more info. And like I said before I played the song, free download of They, available now at the same place. Also, happy belated birthday to Mike Herrera, the lead singer of MXPX. He just had his birthday this past Sunday, November 6th. I believe, I don't want to be wrong, but according to his Facebook, he just turned the big 4-0, which he does not look 40 at all. He looks like he's 29 or like 25. He looks like he's my age. Either way, I'm a big fan of Mike Herrera and MXPX. If you want to check out an awesome podcast, by the way, check out the Mike Herrera Hour on Adobe Radio. Super, super awesome podcast. I listened to that podcast as much as I can. Not as much as I used to, because I used to go for long drives when I was going to school, because the school I attended for broadcasting was about an hour away from where I live, so I'd always have a nice long drive to listen to a full podcast. And now it's just it gets a little bit harder to listen to full podcasts sometimes. But anyway, regardless, the Mike Herrera Hour, I highly suggest checking that out. And yeah, make sure you head over to mxpx.com to get that single and more single. I honestly, I think I pretty much agree with what Mike Herrera says, or about his. I agree with his political views, I should say, and every lyric in that song spot on exactly how I feel about this election, which, if you're listening to this on November 8th, or actually, yeah, November 8th is when this was released, that is Election Day, which we've all been excited for and wanting that day to come so we could end all this, all these political ads that we keep having to watch and listen to.
Both pictures and videos. We here at Yellowcard can promise you that every song that you have the desire to film is already available online. Also, please be advised that the concert experience is greatly enhanced when the band can see your faces instead of your electronics. We aren't making any rules or telling you how to live your life. We are simply stating that if you'd prefer to watch this big-ass rock and roll show through an LED rectangle instead of the vertical that is the human eyeball, you're fucking blowing it. Phones down, hands up, let's fucking rock. Enjoy the show.
So that was the intro to Yellowcard's final show in Chicago, which was just this past Friday, November 4th, 2016, at House of Blues, and I was there. That was just a little audio clip from my phone, and obviously the voiceover they have at the beginning, I wasn't able to catch the very first part of it because you could hear when it first started, it was kind of cut off, but I got most of it. And I loved that little voiceover that they had. Cracked me up. Because it's so true. I mean, everyone is, when they're at their shows, they're behind their phones, taking crappy pictures and crappy video. That was just a little voice memo recording from my phone. I didn't hold it in front of my face and look through the screen. I was just holding it in my hand while I was actually watching them. So it wasn't like it was a distraction or anything. Not the most amazing quality, but I figured it would be the perfect way to start out this podcast. So before they actually hit the stage, they're playing, a bunch of songs over the sound system at House of Blues, and all the songs that were from this playlist were from the 2000s era that Yellowcard comes from. They were playing old school Fall Out Boy, Taking Back Sunday, Blink-182, Starting Line, something corporate. And to me, it set the perfect mood for the start of the show. And I'm pretty sure that had to have been done on purpose. It just seemed like it. It was just the perfect way to set up the show and set the mood, in my opinion. And yeah, I talked about their introduction, put your phones away. I couldn't agree more with their statement. Loved the voiceover recorded introduction. And then, as you just heard, they started playing their song Believe, which I was surprised that was their opener. I wasn't expecting that. With them opening up with Believe, it was like their way of saying to the fans, even though we're breaking up and leaving you, everything is going to be all right. Be strong, believe, just like the lyrics in their song. I guess it's also kind of a positive way to start their very last show in Chicago. It's kind of a positive way to look at it, like, hey, everything's going to be all right. Be strong, believe. We're leaving you with this huge, amazing catalog of songs that you will have forever, which is the cool part of this. Yes, they're breaking up, but we're going to have these songs forever. We can pass them down to our kids, grandkids, etc., etc. Ryan Key made a comment about not taking requests during the show. We figured the set list out ahead of time is what he was saying. He said, screaming the song title from the back of the room won't do you any good. Would have been cool, I think, in my opinion, if they would have taken requests. But I'm pretty sure the reason they didn't take requests, or they're not taking requests at all on this tour, is because, if you think about it, they haven't had a permanent drummer since LP left the band 2 or 3 years ago. They've had various drummers filling in for LP since, and it's kind of hard to expect those drummers to memorize the whole Yellowcard catalog and then go to a show and be able to play a song that a fan has requested. I think that would be pretty damn pretty damn difficult. So in that respect, I think it makes sense that Ryan Keyes said that they were not taking requests, and it does no good to, shout them out in the crowd. Now, speaking of that, their guest drummer for this tour, his name is Jimmy, and he plays drums in one of the support bands on their final tour called Like Torches, which they're actually from Sweden. And in my opinion, Jimmy is the best drummer that Yellowcard has had play with them since LP left. Super tight, super on time. I think maybe he was actually even playing to a click track. I'm not sure, but it was just super, super tight. Actually, the best performance I've ever seen Yellowcard put on. And I'll be honest, I got teary-eyed during their set. Yes, yes, I did. Before they played the song Sing For Me, which is from their When You're Through With Thinking Say Yes album, which was kind of like their comeback album that they put out in 2011, because they hadn't put out a brand new record since 2007, Paper Walls, and they kind of went on a hiatus. They weren't even sure if they were actually going to come back from that hiatus. So this was like their comeback album. But before they played the song, Ryan Key told the story behind Sing For Me, which I've actually never heard the complete story behind that. And since I'm a father-to-be, it kind of hit close home to me and made me think about the future. Sing For Me is about Ryan Key's aunt, who died from brain cancer in 2012, and the song is written in the perspective of his aunt having to say goodbye to her son before she dies. Now, Ryan says he can't imagine how hard that would be, and I still can't imagine how hard that would be to have to say goodbye to your son or daughter when you're having such a hard disease to battle. So after he told that story and they started playing the song, that's when my eyes were just getting so teary-eyed. And I think, honestly, the whole crowd got emotional at that point. I don't think I was the only one. And, of course, Sing For Me, in my opinion, was one of the best tracks from When You're Through With Thinking Say Yes. But as far as the set list was concerned, I think they did good, as good of a job as they could do as far as variety goes. I mean, they played tracks from every single record pretty much. They even played songs from One for the Kids before, which is the record before Ocean Avenue. And they even had a little acoustic session about midway, or maybe it was a little over midway through the set. The best performance I've ever heard or seen Yellowcard play, like I said, like I said earlier. And they had a nice little light show, too, to kind of go along with their set as well, which I guess they kind of focused on a light show when they did the Ocean Avenue tour. I really liked the lights that they had for that Ocean Avenue acoustic tour. They did that to celebrate 10 years of that album about 10 years ago. The crowd was singing along loud and proud, but when Ryan Key was, sharing like these important stories like the one about Sing For Me, I think too many people were talking, and because I was trying to get audio on my phone so I could play some of these stories for you that Ryan shared with all of us if you weren't able to attend the show. But there was just so much talking everywhere in the venue. It was even hard for me to make out completely everything that he was saying just from my ears. So that kind of pissed me off. It was like, hey, this is the last time you're going to see Yellowcard. Don't you want to hear some interesting behind-the-scenes stories about their lives and things like that? I just thought it was kind of rude. I mean, it wasn't completely overbearing. You couldn't. It wasn't like he was completely drowned out or anything. But I still thought there was just way too much talking for when Ryan was sharing these stories. So that just kind of summarizes their very last show in Chicago. It was emotional, at least it was for me, and I think a lot of people felt that way. They played 2 shows at House of Blues, Thursday and Friday. It was November 3rd and November 4th. They were both sold out, of course. I was at the Friday show. I unfortunately wasn't able to make the Thursday show. I originally wanted to go to both of them, but when you got a job and you got to get up early in the morning, it's kind of hard to do that. It's really hard to kind of convey the emotional experiences that I've experienced with Yellowcard and their music, but I'll just try to summarize this the best I can from my perspective. I just want to thank Yellowcard from the bottom of my heart for everything that they've ever done for me. Yellowcard is one of my biggest musical influences of all time. They're in my top 5. I've listened to their records on repeat so many different times. So many so many times in a row, and I would never get tired of it. And it got me, their music, their albums have gotten me through some of the toughest times in my life. Literally, Ryan Key's lyrics have always been extremely relatable to what's going on in my life. And honestly, without them, I'm not sure what I would have done. And then you add the band's powerful melodies to those lyrics, and you've got the perfect medication to help cope with depression, anxiety, whatever it is, or even, let's say, if it's not to cope with something bad, if it's just to celebrate. I mean, it just is, their music is the perfect medication for any kind of feeling that you're possibly going through. And this is not me exaggerating and gushing over Yellowcard's breakup. This is the honest-to-God truth. This is how I felt way long before their breakup. So I just want to say thank you to Ryan, Sean, and Ryan again. Obviously, there's 2 Ryans in the band, so that's why I say Ryan twice. Josh, LP, and of course any of the other former members of Yellowcard for their powerful music and memories. They literally have done so much, and I know I'm not the only person that feels this way. There's obviously many of you out there that feel this way about Yellowcard, but the cool thing is, as I said at the start of the show, that music will live on forever. We can pass it on to our kids and our grandkids. There's going to be people listening to that, I'm almost positive, for many, many years to come. I don't think it'll ever die. It'll always be there. Yes, maybe it won't be prevalent, huge mainstream stuff, but it will always be there, and people like you and me will be able to pass it on for generations to come. So that's pretty much all I can say and kind of summarize Yellowcard's last show in Chicago, and I know I can speak for everyone. They're going to be greatly missed, that's for sure.
Pop Punk Picks of the Week.
3, 2, 1.
So before I leave you, I always give you my pop punk picks of the week. Unfortunately, I didn't have a special guest on this last show. Usually I share this segment with my guest. They pick a song from the pop punk genre that they're currently digging, and then I pick one that I'm digging that week. But the special guest I had lined up for this show, he became ill, so he wasn't able to do the show, but I'm sure he'll be on at another time in the future. So I will go ahead and give you 2 songs and 2 bands this week. Now, the first band is called Backyard Superheroes. They are a ska band from the New Jersey area. And after the last episode I did, episode 7 was with Johnny Christmas of Real Big Fish, as I mentioned earlier. One of their members, actually their saxophone player, Gary, he had listened to the episode and he said, "Hey," it's like, I'm digging your podcast, man. It was a great interview with Johnny Christmas. And if you're a ska fan, please check out my band called Backyard Superheroes. He gave me their Bandcamp link. I checked it out, and I really like it. And I'm always looking for new ska bands, because a lot of these ska bands that I'm into are from years and years ago. Some of them don't even play anymore. Like, you got the Hippos and Jeffrey's Fan Club. Those are some great ska bands, but they're no longer playing shows. Really, the only ska bands that are really prevalent and have stuck around through the years are Less Than Jake and, of course, Real Big Fish, and thank God for them, because if it wasn't for them, ska wouldn't be able to carry on the way it has. Except for, it's great to hear bands like Backyard Superheroes and Stacked Like Pancakes. So anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. So this song I'm going to play for you by Backyard Superheroes is called My Fault. If you like what you hear, you can go to backyardsuperheroes.bandcamp.com. And if you are in the Jersey area, they are actually going to be playing with Less Than Jake for Skanksgiving, which is at Starland Ballroom in New Jersey on Saturday, November 19th. So this is their song called My Fault, right here on Pop Punk and Pizza on bangarangradio.com.
Why wait till the
it all that I got. I've been waiting for this moment, so let's give it a shot. Because I don't care, been waiting too long. It goes on and on, on and on and on. Don't care what they say, it's always the same. Don't care in their eyes, I'm always to blame. Don't care, try my best and I gave it my all. Don't care in the end, it's always my fault. Don't care what they say, it's always the same. Don't care in their eyes, I'm always to blame. Don't care, try my best and I gave it my all. Don't care in the end, it's always my fault. Don't care, I know it was always my fault.
Backyard Superheroes, My Fault here on Pop Punk and Pizza on bangarangradio.com. I love that name, by the way. Yes, it might not be pop punk, but I've always felt that pop punk and ska are like brothers, aren't they? I don't know. I've always been a huge ska fan and a pop punk fan, and I always felt they're fans. Most fans that like pop punk like ska, vice versa, things like that. So please, if you like what you hear, please support them. Go to backyardsuperheroes.bandcamp.com, and I'm hoping actually to have them as special guests on the show sometime down the line in the near future, which would be awesome. So I got to thank Gary from Backyard Superheroes for reaching out. They heard my Real Big Fish interview, Johnny Christmas, a Real Big Fish. They heard it. They shot me an email, and that's all it took, and I was really, really, really happy to hear from them. So, like I said, please reach out if you feel like it. If you're in a band, if you're not in the band, I'd love to get your comments, or if you got music you want me to hear, please shoot it my way, bangarangradio.com. And my next pop-punk pick of the week is a band going back to the Chicagoland area, to my home base. It's a pop-punk band called Everyone Says, and they actually have a show coming up, if you're listening to this, before November 19th. The show is Saturday, November 19th at the brand new Evolution Music Store in Downers Grove, Illinois. Shout out to Jonathan Teeter there for always working hard and supporting the local music scene in the Chicagoland area. This song I'm going to play for you is called American Pop Punk, and they actually are going to be here as guests on Pop Punk and Pizza coming up here in just a couple weeks. We're going to be recording a episode actually that same day, but it's not going to be released until November 22nd. So on November 22nd, make sure you're looking for the special guest episode with Everyone Says here on Pop Punk and Pizza. But yeah, let's check this out. This is called another burp there, my apologies, but this song is called American Pop Punk. It's Everyone Says right here on Bangarang Radio on Pop Punk and Pizza.
Nothing feels the same, no, nothing feels the same. Nothing feels the same, nothing feels the same, no, nothing feels the same. Nothing feels the same. I've been up all night, driving and feeling so down, trying not to think about how you don't need me like I need you. Don't say you love me, baby, because people know that you're no good at lying, and I'm sick of seeing you around. I don't think that I want to be saved by you. I don't think that I should be used to sleeping in my clothes with the lights on. I guess everything is different now. You've been moving west, I've been moving shit just gets tougher, and I still feel so alone. I'm just like the weather, I never get better, and all I feel is alone. And every new summer, shit just gets tougher, and I still feel so alone. I'm just like the weather, I never get better, and all I feel is alone. And every new summer, shit just gets tougher, and I still feel so alone. I feel so alone.
There you have it, my second pop punk pick of the week, everyone says, with American pop punk. They are from the Chicago, Illinois area. And if you are from the same area, check them out Saturday, November 19th at the brand new Evolution Music Store, which is in Downers Grove. And if you like what you hear by them, if you liked American pop punk, check them out. You can buy their music at everyonesaysil.bandcamp.com, and they are going to be special guests here on Pop Punk and Pizza coming up here in just a couple weeks. The episode will be coming out on November 22nd, which I'm super stoked to meet them. It's always awesome to meet new people in the pop punk scene, so thank you for that. And that's going to be it for this episode of Pop Punk and Pizza. I am Jacques Lamour, your host, and as always, I can't thank you enough for tuning in. It really does mean a lot, because this is something I do for fun, and I like sharing it with people that feel the same way I do about it. So thank you for that. Please reach out to me, as I said, on social media. You can follow myself on Twitter at OnAirWithJJ. Pop Punk and Pizza, you can follow at Pop Punk and Pizza Pod. Instagram as well, at Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast. Bangarang Radio, which is our podcast network. You can follow them at Bangarang Radio on Twitter. Check them out on Facebook. Also, Pop Punk and Pizza is on Facebook as well. Love to get your input about the show, or if you're in a band and you want your music played on the show, or you want to be a special guest, please shoot me an email at bangarangradio@gmail.com. And as long as I dig your music, I will definitely play it here on Pop Punk and Pizza, and definitely arrange some kind of special guest spot for you as well. Also, before the show, I completely forgot to mention, I'm no longer doing a video version of this podcast. I'll still be putting episodes up on YouTube, but it will be audio only. There will not be video to go along with it. It just became too much work to do an audio version and a video version, and I'm going to be becoming a father soon, so I'm trying to cut back on my work so that way I'm still able to podcast and be a dad all at the same time. So also, speaking of becoming, I'm not a father yet, so the baby is on its way. But I do just want to say thank you to everyone who reached out to my girlfriend and I on Facebook and by phone and all that good stuff, and congratulated us. He is a boy. His name is going to be Owen Lee, and it was not planned, but we are extremely, we're so excited. We're excited, we're terrified all at the same time, but mostly we're just so happy and honored that we are becoming parents. So we just want to say thank you so much for everyone that's congratulated us, and he's due in March 1st, which technically I guess he could be born early. He could be a February baby. But anyway, regardless, I just want to say thank you for the love and support from you on that. So once again, I'm Jacques Lamour. Thank you so much for tuning in to Pop Punk and Pizza here on bangarangradio.com, and don't forget to check out the other podcast shows here on bangarangradio.com. I hope you have a great week, and we'll be back here next Tuesday.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.